Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
This is John Summerall, head football coach at Troy. You're listening to the Fun Belt Podcast.
Thanks.
Yeah.
If you didn't know before, now you know why they call this the Fun Belt.
I'm very excited about the Sun Belt.
You know, while other conferences have been breaking up, our conference has become stronger.
The state of Sun Belt football is the strongest in our history.
I saw Fun Belt Conference, and I'm like, I don't know what this is, but I got to join the show. It sounds a lot of fun.
I still wanted to post where I told Jeremy I was going to put concrete shoes on him.
Yeah, you should.
Fun Belt Podcast, part of the Believe Network. Jeremy Harper of HowlRazor.com, Dusty Thibodeau of Warhawk Report, and Shane Metlin of the JMU Head Coach Search Committee. Shane, how many resumes have you reviewed, and are we any closer to getting a new Kurt Signetti figure in Harrisonburg?
I think closer. If I was actually on the committee, I would not be able to talk with you guys legally, from what I understand. So
if you know something, you can tell us.
Yeah.
Blink twice there, Shane.
Here's what I've noticed. There's a lot of you guys on Twitter reporting about like air flights, airplanes landing, their destinations afterwards that come from Holy Cross, like all this stuff. You guys are going completely insane. When was the last time you had a coaching search?
It's been, I don't know. I mean, there was a basketball coaching search a few years ago, but everybody was homebound at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
When Signetti came, it wasn't the same. I mean, it wasn't FBS football when Signetti came. I mean, that's the big thing. I think like the interest level has increased, the stakes have increased, and this is what we're seeing.
Yeah, I've been through this. They're famously Arkansas State went through this like 5 times in 5 years, right?
It was a revolving door.
It really, well, yeah. And every postseason about this time, it was monitoring airplanes, message boards with really wild ideas. Saban's coming. Saw him on campus. The last of the major pro sports league kicks off this week, and BetOnline is your top spot for all your NBA action this season. With NFL and college football and NHL in full swing, BetOnline is your #1 source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Get everything NBA at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access for every sport, anytime. Head to your BetOnline today to get on the action. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, have you heard? What is the wildest rumor that you've heard? The rumor that you know might be true.
That Dana Holgerson was on campus, and then there was a plane that came from Houston that same day, but it was like obviously somebody local owned that plane, and it was clearly not Holgerson, but then that somehow became like people had saw him on campus, when I know anybody that was interested was not on campus. We'll put it that way.
So what's funny about that, Shane, is even in the ULM coaching search, somehow somebody found out how to track flights, and they were like, there's a flight from Houston to Monroe, and it's Holgerson. I was like, nah, that's my private plane. I just wanted some Johnny's Pizza.
Speaking of ULM got their guy Dusty. Tell us a little bit about your boy.
Bryant Vincent, first-time head coach. He was the interim head coach for UAB when Clark decided to hang it up mid-season or right before the season there.
Had some
long-time high school coach, been the offensive coordinator for New Mexico Lobos. They had the 47th rated offense, which was ahead of the likes of Arkansas State, Texas A&M, Alabama, Clemson. So hopefully the excitement is coming back on the Bayou, at least offensively, and the air raid style will be coming. I'm still on the fence. I don't know what to think. I saw the introductory press conference. I was not just blown away, wowed, but look, something's got to give. If this is the guy that can fix it, don't wow me and just fix it and just do it.
It's like the total opposite of Terry Bowden, right? Terry Bowden, the old seasoned football coach, old school guy, wears the tie, wears the white shirt, from that old lineage of great college football coaches. You guys were like, no, we're done with that. We're going to go back to the young pool, pick up a hotshot assistant, get a little youth in here, maybe some fresh thinking. Maybe this guy is it, Dusty.
I haven't talked to him yet, so like I said, I'm keeping the open mind. I'm trying to be fair. I will say this: we probably have a lot in common. That looking at the press conference, he was not comfortable in a tie, much like I would be if I was up there in a tie trying to talk. So kudos to him for being on the same page with me, at least from that aspect.
I didn't see the press conference, but I know Shane is dying to know this as well. Was the couch in attendance for the press conference? Was the orgy sofa available for the media to climb upon?
It was not there. The press conference was not in the press room. It was up in the library where they have the formalized press engagements.
All right. Okay.
Were you able to find it?
The library?
Yeah, I'm assuming that's probably your first time in the library.
I see what you did. You know, the whole reason we have that library is because one of the two worst presidents that the university's ever had decided he needed a new office.
Okay.
And so he built a new office surrounded by books.
Ooh. So he put his office in the library.
Of course.
Okay. That's nice. All right. So I do like that Shane is mocking your academic credentials. Well, and because Shane's a elitist East Coast journalist, so he feels like he can do that.
I mean, I went to the library a couple times when I was in college.
We had a bar called the library.
I lived in the library, man. So it was a nice, quiet
bar. The actual.
I mean, journalism's not the hardest major. I didn't spend a ton of time in the library, I'll be honest.
I have a minor in marketing, and my brother calls a minor degree as, or not minor degree, a marketing degree as the degree for dumb guys. So I got like a half a dumb guy degree. I at least that's how I look at it. All right. So also going on before we head into the big championship game, which for a while was pretty good. You got to look at the transfer portal. Opened up on Monday, but there was a lot of leakage going on beforehand. So I've been tracking this, guys. I've been piling up all the names and assembling them and organizing them. And it's like 75 guys right now in the Sunbelt portal. And some of these guys are pretty good. Like they've earned like all Sunbelt honors. Guys like John Tree Hunter from Georgia State and Marcus Carroll. You might have heard of James Carpenter, Shane, from James Madison. Yeah. One of my boys, Javonte Mackey, great young linebacker. He's leaving. Apparently.
10-time Sunbelt Conference Player of the Year, Grayson McCall.
Well, I was going to get to that because there's also 7 Sunbelt quarterbacks that are currently in the transfer portal. One is C.J. Rogers of Texas State. I don't think he saw much time. But Zach Wilkie, quarterback for Southern Miss, he's in. Jordan McLeod, I don't know if you heard of him, but he's in the portal. Bo Allen, Georgia Southern. Bo Allen came in with a lot of sort of steam. I think he's a transfer from some hotshot place, but he's leaving Georgia Southern. Jarrett Guest, we saw him make a few guest appearances at Coastal Carolina when Grayson McCall was hurt. He's gone. Grayson McCall, the world's famous quarterback, also gone. And then Cam Fancher, everybody's favorite quarterback. And guys, did you see what the Coach Charlie Huff, said about the Cam Fancher situation today?
That was pretty wild that he said that for public consumpmption. No, I'm not doubting it. I mean, it sounds just about right, but like that he said that bluntly. That was that was quite a quote.
And Cam Fancher's mom came to his defense on Facebook saying that was not true. They love the university. They love the herd. but it was just time for essentially a scenery change.
Well, here was his quote.
I'm not sure those statements contradict each other that much.
The quote was, this is what Huff said. There isn't a lot of money for NIL, and the fans hate him. The kid has been miserable.
I agree with there not being much money for NIL, because I just don't see where that's a big economic booming and a lot of discretionary income to have a huge collective or NIL. But to say fans hate them, fans are going to hate anyone. Fans hate us.
Yeah. But here's the thing, too. It is days before you close escrow on a recruiting class in December. Is your message really, come to Marshall, the fans will hate you, and we have no money for NIL? That just doesn't seem like a good marketing ploy to me.
Yeah, that wasn't the best move, I don't think. I mean, I think he's clearly trying to say, hey, our fans need to shape up and help us out here a little bit. The message was certainly more towards the fans than the recruits, I think. But still, we'll see. We'll see if that ends up coming back to bite him, because that was. Yeah.
Let me tell you something, Shane. Anytime you go after fans, I don't care who you are, it's coming back to bite you.
Yeah.
There's just more of them than you. I've seen coaches try to lecture fans before, and it never turns out good. I mean, not even Saban, I think, can lecture fans without getting some heat. So yeah, that was a strange thing to say. But yeah, there's some guys that I'm going to miss, and I guess I think there's a 30-day window here. Shane, you know this, right? There's like a 30-day. Okay, so there's probably still plenty of time for people to jump in. I kind of expected more blue chip guys to jump in. I know losing a Jordan McLeod or a Marcus Carroll, those kind of guys you don't want to lose in the Sun Belt. But I kind of thought we were going to lose maybe more talent than that, and maybe it's just players having plenty of time to wait it out.
Yeah, I mean, although I don't know how much I mean, I guess you don't have to be like signed and delivered in 30 days, but it still seems like if you're thinking about it at all, you'd go in right away, right? Like, well, I don't see what the point of waiting is.
I think sometimes, and God, Dusty, I could be 1,000% wrong on this, but like seeing how many quarterbacks have jumped in, like not just from the Sun Belt, but from just college football in general. If you're a quarterback who's on the fence, do you look at that and go, God, I don't know if maybe I should stay here, because it's going to be a lot of turnover at quarterback right now, a lot of competition.
I'm making the plunge, especially after Matt Rules talks about a good quarterback is going to cost you at least 6, if not 7 figures in the portal in order to get it. You better believe it didn't matter how good I am, how much I love my school. I'm putting my name in the hat and seeing what comes out on the other side.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people are putting their names in the hat and then maybe will kind of pull themselves back out of there? I've seen that happen. I don't know if that's going to become more common or not, but do you think
I think that's the possibility, but you gotta know, like, if you're going to be wanted back, for one thing. I mean, I see all these guys from JMU, for instance. I think a lot of them are like, hey, I don't know who my coach is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to like this new coach. I don't know if this new coach is going to like me. So what do I have to lose by putting my name in? I think there's a decent chance that a new coach can, re-recruit some of those guys.
Yeah, that's kind of.
But you still also have the spring window, also.
Yeah,
but that's also a different situation when the coach. Yeah. Like Arkansas State, they had their basketball coach fired, right? And immediately, like 6 guys jumped in the portal. Well, the new coach comes, and about 3 of those guys said, "Okay, I kind of like what this is doing," and they came back. Yeah. But you know what? Like, also Arkansas State had a guy named Corey Rucker, a wide receiver who started off with Arkansas State, ended up jumping in the portal the first year of Butch Jones's tenure. Went to South Carolina, didn't like it, came back this last year. Welcome back with open arms. Hey, come back. It was great. It's good having you. We're glad you can make a contribution. And a lot of the fans felt that way, but some of the fans were like, hey, once you leave, F you. You're gone. You're dead to us. What do you guys, just on a personal level, Dusty, how do you feel if somebody left ULM and then didn't like where they went and then came back?
Deuces. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Yeah. If you can't stick it out like the rest of us, and for better or worse, because it should be a 4 or 5 year marriage of to the program. See ya.
That is some old school, Dusty. I like it.
You went from being a D1 starter and really having the reins of the program to now you're jumping to then wind up at a D3 or NAIA school, or you now no longer have a scholarship anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a case-by-case type of thing. Some guys have good reasons, maybe families putting pressure on them or things, and it just doesn't work out. And they're like, hey, I'll know where I go, where I'll go somewhere I know when they bounce back. But I don't know. I mean, I think you got to remember, like, a lot of these guys are hearing from a lot of people who don't always like know what's best, and they're still 19, 20 years old trying to make these decisions.
Yeah.
But I think, you got to also keep in mind, like we said, a lot of these guys say, hey, I'll enter the portal and see what happens and maybe come back. And then by the time they're ready to come back, they've been recruited over. So everybody's got to kind of keep in mind, like, what their own situation is.
Yep.
So a lot of the portal guys, they're from the teal field there, Jeremy. Do you think there's some smoke to that fire where we saw the tweet come out that the Shant Collective was no more, right, and Golden Boy is gone, and everyone else is too?
Yeah. All right. So here's just looking at who jumped it, where the jumping is going from right now. ODU, a lot of people from Old Dominion are jumping. Georgia State had a wave of guys just take off, and but not nearly as many as what's going on at Coastal Carolina, where they had the new coach who did pretty good. Brought the team close to an Eastern championship, right? If they had won the game, they would be. If they had beaten JMU, the last game of the season, they would be the Sun Belt Eastern champions. So, I mean, they're one game away from that championship game. And now you've got, it looks like more than 20 guys. I think it's about 21 guys from Coastal Carolina have taken that plunge. Some of them are like Grayson McCall, or like we call a graduate student, a guy who's been there forever. I don't blame Grayson for leaving. He can find something else. But a lot of these guys are like, where are you going? What's going on here? You get the news about the NIL collective shutting down. How does that even happen? How does an NIL collective shut down? I mean, that's just strange. They just not doing a good job. So what is going on? Shane, do you have any idea? Have you heard anything? Have you tapped into the journalism community and found out any juice, any scoop that we can use on Fun Belt Podcast in regards to Coastal Carolina's exodus?
Not really. The collective shutting down is I'm really curious about that, because
you know nothing about it.
I don't know why it happened. I'm wondering, like, they kind of hinted, didn't they, that like maybe something would replace it, but then there hasn't been any word of that. It's weird that just like all of a sudden shut down. I don't know if that has anything to do with the people deciding to transfer, but I mean, obviously there's got to be some people who were expecting to get paid that won't be now, right?
That could be it. I mean, if I look at the collective that's going on with Arkansas State, it's not an easy job. I mean, there is a lot that's involved in having a collective, and you can get it wrong. And I imagine, I don't know, maybe at Coastal Carolina, like whoever was in charge of it was like, hey man, this is a bigger thing than I didn't want to get involved in.
Yeah.
At the University of Arkansas, they actually kind of got rid of their first collective and just kind of restarted with a new one.
Yeah, but I kind of wondered if that was what was going to happen at Coastal, but I haven't heard anything along those lines yet. I will say, I don't know what the statistic is for football, but I've been told the statistic for basketball, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but like there is just typically an uptick in transfers when a coach finishes his first year.
Okay.
There are guys who just decided they were going to give that new coach a year and see where they fit. And now they know they don't really fit, but
they went through the year, saw that they're not going to fit in the program. And
they gave it a fair shot, and they're just like, this isn't the place for me. But, I don't know what the statistic is for football. And obviously everybody's transferring from everywhere these days, but that could have something to do with like maybe Coastal having more than some other places. Because he did seem to convince a lot of guys to stay that first year.
Yeah.
Maybe under the like arrangement, like, hey, give me a year and let's see how it goes. And now this is the backside of that.
See, it'd be a cool soap opera if just things were completely falling apart at Coastal Carolina, but that's probably not what's happening.
I don't know. I mean, their basketball coach retires in the middle of the season, so who knows? There may be crazy things happening. That's
right, Dusty. I believe legendary Cliff Ellis has retired from basketball.
Former show guest.
Yeah.
With the brilliant plan that we probably will not get to see enacted now for the NCAA tournament. Put them all in.
That's right. That was his plan.
Yeah.
And what a great plan.
1 through like 3:30 or whatever it is, and just bracket it and let's roll with it.
I remember I asked former head coach at Arkansas State, Mike Bellotto, who was your favorite guy? Your favorite coach in the Sun Belt? And he said Cliff Ellis. He said Cliff was a great guy, funny, great to be around, kind of a mentor. And now he's gone. But, you know, I don't want to say he overstayed his welcome. I think he was still coaching some pretty good basketball at the end there. But he's been around for a long time. And this gives Coastal Carolina an opportunity to get some fresh blood.
Also in basketball news, a couple big non-conference wins.
Yes.
With App State somehow getting Auburn and Bruce Pearl to come to Boone, and then they beat them.
Yeah.
They're selling pictures as a fundraiser of everyone storming the court.
First of all,
Jeremy.
Credit to Bruce Pearl because he does tend to take his team to strange places in the OOC to toughen up that team. So good for him. There is no tougher place, in my opinion, to go to play a basketball game in the OOC season than Boone. What a great win for Appalachian State for sure. But man, I don't like even playing a conference game at Boone, let alone have to drag my team into those mountains, try to get acclimated to the height difference, and then play some basketball in an arena that has some pretty rabid fans. So congratulations once again to Coach Dern, right?
Kearns.
God damn. Yeah, I got to get into basketball mode. And Kearns is one of the better coaches in Sunbelt basketball. I got to remember that. But, man, congratulations to Coach Kearns. He's really got that program humming. I believe second in the net for the Sunbelt, just behind James Madison.
I believe you're correct.
Because I looked.
I feel like you're just sucking up to Shane.
I'm sucking up to James Madison basketball. Sucking up to anything James Madison, man. They rule the Sun Belt with an iron fist. They're my warlord.
Shane, when there's a new coach, will there be like streamers that pop out of a chimney or something like that to announce it? Much like, the Vatican has the white smoke.
I don't know. I think that's a good idea. Like, maybe like a chimney cannon or something, or like a streamer cannon or something, like to
surely
call
we can
everybody.
Hey, so Dusty, you said there were 2 big wins. What was the other one?
I don't remember.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Come on. All right.
Look, Jeremy, you remember back when I used to actually plan all these elaborate show notes of everything we were going to talk about, and there were random. Y'all would never read them, and so you know what? It became I'm not going to waste my time for stuff that y'all are not even going to read, and so screw it. It is what it is.
It just feels like there was another big win in basketball. James Madison's still undefeated. That's kind of cool. South Alabama. Guess what? They're back to 500. They had a big win. ULM, I think, had like 110 points over Champion Christian. Hey, congratulations!
But they gave up 63 to Champion Christian.
Yeah, but still points are points. That's pretty good.
Alabama beat Arkansas State.
Yeah, I watched that game. The second half much better than the first. But coach in my DMs kind of chatting me up a little bit. But yeah, it's been interesting. I'm looking forward. I feel like the Sunbelt scene's kind of getting a little bit better. They started off so slow. I think
but then there's Georgia Southern.
I don't know. Georgia Southern's terrible. Yeah. If I had the net rankings in front of me, I believe they'd be dead last.
I believe you'd be right.
Yeah.
Oh, the other big win?
Yeah.
Southern Miss went to Birmingham and beat UAB.
Oh, they're coming to Arkansas State. UAB is coming on Saturday. So trying to figure out if I'm going to make it up to Jonesboro for that. But yeah, that's
Did you also go check? Did you also call and check on Ben Moore after Kennesaw State beat Georgia State?
No. Ben, when the basketball team's quiet, Ben's are not doing well. Ben's very quiet on the social medias. So he needs to see. I talked a little bit about arrogance before. How arrogance can be good. He has that arrogance when the team's winning. And then when the team's not winning, he doesn't. Speaking of arrogance, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it was a great segue there.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, the president of the NCAA has implied twice now that there's only going to be 100 teams, maybe even a little bit less than that, in this new NCAA that also has the proposal of paying student athletes $30,000 each. And the universities have to agree to do it across the board. Now, the caveat of that is they've always only talked about football, but with Title IX, you got to pay everybody. So you got to pay your women's golf, the swimming and diving, the soccer team, the equestrian team. Out of that, what does that do to the program? Are we all going back to being a 1AA type of program where we don't have as many scholarships, we don't have to pay the NIL tax or whatever you want to call it? Or what are we looking at if this comes to fruition? Because I don't think anybody except maybe James Madison in the Sun Belt can pony up the bucks.
Yeah, I feel like Shane's going to have a better outlook on this. I will say, though, that one, there's a lot of knee-jerk reaction to that proposal that, they put it out and there's a lot of that seems like a good idea. And then there was a lot, here's the NCAA trying to be relevant. They're finally coming up with a plan. Is that a perfect plan? No, but here's something that we can at least work with. I will say that the structure as it is now, where the fans are paying for the NIL, is crazy. Fans bailing out this whole problem with student athletes being paid is a terrible idea. And it's bad for the fans. The people making money off student athletes aren't the fans. The people making money off of student athletes are Adidas and Nike and ESPN and Fox Sports. Why aren't they putting into the kitty? Why aren't they matching funds? Why isn't there a structure in place where they put in money to pay athletes? But Shane, help us out here. Please, with your journalistic integrity, just parse this out for us.
No, I'm with you. It doesn't make much sense that it became fans putting in donations to do this. I mean, NIL, it's name, image, likeness. The whole thing was just supposed to be hey, we're not going to stop people from selling T-shirts anymore or doing a local car dealer commercial. And then it somehow became, like he said, that they're asking fans to donate money that they probably don't even really know what they're donating to. They're just told it's NIL. Do people even know when they donate to a collective exactly where it's going? I
got an email from my collective. You've got to pitch in. We've all hands on deck. We've got to save our student athletes. I'm like, why am I doing this? I already buy season tickets. I already do all this shit. I got to do more.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it was all just supposed to be hey, the kid who's on scholarship to play cello can still, go down to the local coffee house and put a cup out. It was supposed to be the same thing for, basketball players or the golf team, previously was not able to put up a flyer saying, hey, I'll give you swing lessons. And now they can but how it became, like you said, basically panhandling the fans to cover all this. I don't know.
Oh my God. I just listening to you, Shane, makes me realize just how just cancerous and toxic this has become. Dusty, give us some good news.
The good news, Shane, Arkansas State passed the hat at their last game and they made 7 cents. So, things are looking up for the Red Wolves.
I love that Dusty Sisson of ULM is trying to make some sort of poverty statement about other schools. That's great.
Hey, just because a place called Poverty Point is right by Monroe does not give you the right to say that.
But that went towards trying to pave the road to the vet.
You're on your way. You've already pissed off Boone. Who else did you piss off? Did you piss off Georgia State? I don't know. You just
my teasing of Arkansas State is directly directed at Jeremy. I have absolutely no real knowledge or anything against Arkansas.
Do you know how much power I wield? I am Arkansas State. Damn you!
He's the mayor. So speaking of which, the good news.
Okay,
and something we haven't talked about. It was probably the biggest thing this past week. Sunbelt Conference Championship. Troy goes back-to-back, getting the big win over App State. Good game for 3 quarters. But then that fourth quarter was just spitball.
It might have been more like good game for 2 1/3 a quarter. I don't know. It was like they opened up and like Appalachian State scored. And then Troy scored. And then Appalachian State looked up. And then it was like just completely collapse on Appalachian State part. I tell you, Vidal, he looked awesome. That guy looked unstoppable. No one could tackle him. He was just pounding that offensive line, was just throwing guys around so he could just truck on through. Troy looked to me like the best group of 5 team in all of college football that day.
Yeah, they should have been getting more consideration for that. Like, I'm not sure with their losses, not that their losses were bad, but I'm not sure, like, if you tell me, like, yeah, they're not going to get the top ranking, but the fact that they were just never even considered for the rankings, like, never made sense or sat right with me.
Not once were they even considered. It was crazy.
So what do you think? I saw Dave Schultz, Locked On podcast, talking about Sunbelt, that Liberty gave the blueprint of how you get into the New Year's Six is basically have a schedule that's 100% winnable and win, baby, win. Do you feel that that's kind of how Liberty slipped in? Is that the fact that they were able to run the tables on a pretty soft schedule?
Okay. Here's what bugs me about that whole thing. All right, so Florida State, they go ahead, they win their conference. They go 13-0. They win the conference championship game. Denied college football players because what they're told is, yeah, you were 13-0 and you won the conference, but you weren't quite good enough because we're looking at your schedule here, and it wasn't as good as Alabama's. So we're going to put Alabama in the place of you. But on the opposite, they said to the group of 5, which is like the only thing that we can really get is a new New Year's Bowl game, right? That's our big prize. They said, we're going to skip this idea that the schedule matters. We're not going to hold you to the same criteria as we held Florida State. We're just going to say, well, whoever went 13-0 and won their conference championship, well, I guess we're going to make them the champion. Not even looking how piss poor that Liberty schedule was. That Liberty schedule was the weakest schedule in all of college football. And the college football committee hardly even blinked. They're just like, oh, wait, what, 13-0? That's all they saw. That's all they saw, and maybe all the money that Liberty has. And they just elevated them into the New York Six Bowl without looking at group of 5 teams that clearly have better schedules, that clearly have better wins. And they were just like, no, we're just going to say, hey, we told you, if you take care of business, go 13-0 and win your conference, you'll get in. But for some reason, that doesn't apply to Florida State. This laziness of the college football playoff committee is astounding to me.
Yeah, well, I think you hit it. Like, they care which of the conferences get into that top 4.
Yeah,
they don't care like which group of 5 school it is. It's like, they went to the trouble to rig it at the top, and then at the bottom it was just like, whichever. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, they lazily put Tulane in there. Well, they won it last year. We're just going to put them in this year. Tulane did okay. They had some really bad games at the end of the year. Ended up losing their conference championship. They just don't pay attention to the group of five. Though we were told again and again, if you take care of business and play a tough schedule, you will be recognized, and that is not true.
To go back to the original point of, is that the model to get in? I mean, if you go 13-0, you're always going to be in the conversation. But things had to kind of break right for Liberty this year. That I don't think they can always count on it going this way. That one, perhaps the biggest competition for that spot was not even considered or eligible. After the other teams end up with 2 losses, it's not going to be that often necessarily that you've got a 13-0 Conference USA team, but the AAC champion ends up with 2 losses and the Sun Belt champion ends up with 2 losses. More often than not, you're going to be talking about everybody having 1 loss at least.
Yeah.
You're not going to be talking about Tulane losing their last game when they were in the driver's seat. Things had to break pretty much perfectly for Liberty this time around. And like I said, I mean, schedule soft and go 13-0. You're going to be in the conversation, but I don't know if most years that would have gotten it done for them.
But I will say this to defend the committee, which I actually don't agree with, but I definitely have to say this. The SEC is a better conference than the ACC. So even Alabama with their 1 loss to Texas is still more impressive on paper than a 13-0 ACC schedule.
Yeah, I see. To me, is all conjecture, right? And all perspective. And one of the things that SEC has been criticized in the past before, Dusty, when you talk about rigging the game to where you look better at the end. The SEC is notorious for putting those FCS games at the end of the year, right? So so that people forget about that Texas game by now. That all they see is that Alabama's won 8 in a row or whatever. I mean, SEC's been gaming that system for a long time. I don't know if the SEC is that much better than the ACC, Dusty. I really don't. In fact, quite frankly, I don't know if there's that much talent difference in any of these divisions in the Power 5, at least. I think there's a lot of SEC crowing. Oh, well, obviously we're the best, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, look at some of the teams in the SEC, and you're like, these guys are gross. Arkansas, gross. Mississippi State, disgusting. Vanderbilt, awful. I mean, there's plenty of bad teams. In Florida, bad. I mean, there's plenty of just bad teams in the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the SEC this year is better than the ACC. 9 times out of 10 they would be, but this year I'm not entirely sure. I think the ACC had a winning record against the SEC in non-conference games, didn't they this year?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And here's another thing too. Why isn't anybody upset that Georgia's getting the shaft? I mean, if you look at Georgia's 1 loss and Alabama's 1 loss, I mean, don't you kind of, if Alabama's so great, then isn't losing to Alabama, the 1 loss that you have, better than losing to Texas?
Well, because
they're the Kings.
But that's what people pointed out didn't make any sense. It's if you're saying that Alabama jumped Florida State, then Florida State should have been 6th, not 5th. Because it makes sense that Georgia would be above them too. They clearly just said, these are the 4 teams we want. Okay, now stick Florida State on the outside.
Yeah, and the only reason why it matters to me, because I compare what happened to Florida State with how Liberty somehow ended up in the G6. With my point being, yes, strength of schedule really seemed to matter for Florida State, but it doesn't seem to matter at all for Group of 5. You just got to win 13 games. And to me, that's just not fair. It's not fair to the Group of 5.
On that note of being fair to the group of 5, the Sun Belt owns the postseason. 12 teams going into the bowls. We will talk more bowl game next week when we kind of get ready for actual bowl week action. But looking at the games, guys, are there any games that really just stand out to you that you're like, man, that's the game that I'm definitely watching or even trying to go to?
Well, I'm definitely going to the Camilla Bowl with Arkansas State versus Northern Illinois. A matchup of 2 mighty 6-6 teams, Dusty. I'm there. I've got the premium tickets. I'm coming down there. We're going to have premium drinks, premium food. It's going to be awesome.
Shane, any bowl game that you have circled?
Sounds like a homer pick, but JMU Air Force is
that's a good game.
Seems like a good matchup. I mean, those are two teams. Like 8 to 9 weeks into the season, those are teams that we were talking about. Like, hey, these are the ones from the group of 5, right? Like, so I think that'll be fun. I mean, outside of that, trying to remember who else where.
So the reason I'm not excited about that JMU game. I was hoping that the New Orleans Bowl was going to be Jack State and GMU as the ineligible bowl. So I'm disappointed in that.
So bad. You want
so bad. and I don't know, is James Madison going to be able to block out the noise of Cignetti leaving, all these coaches leaving, our kids opting out of the bowl game, or what exactly is going on with that team? That I think it's just going to be too much noise that the Dukes are not going to be able to overcome it. Sorry to ruin my pick for next week.
Yeah, I don't know. That is the one thing to me is just how well JMU will play. And I don't even know if it's so much the noise. It's, they've got a 4-person coaching staff right now trying to get ready for Air Force, which, would be all hands on deck trying to game plan for that system in a normal situation. Did he
say he was going to coach the game?
He did, and then he went to Indiana and said, oh, but 90% of my attention is going to be here. And then, and then Jeff Bourne said, okay, we'll never mind.
That's probably what you need. To do.
So far, I've only heard that there's only a couple players opting out of the bowl for JMU. I mean, we'll see.
Is McLeod going to play in it?
He says he is. Yeah, he's been practicing.
Okay, I thought I read that. I thought, okay. Well,
yeah, he says he is. Really the main one that's opted out so far is Mikhail Kamara on the defensive line.
Yeah.
He's real good. He's in the portal though. He's got some injury history. I can understand him saying this might not be worth the risk for me unless a new coach comes in and convinces him to stay. So
I'm kind of surprised that I would think that once you're inside the portal, I always think of a physical place, like a place you live in. Once you're inside the portal, it always seems to me that means you don't have a home. Like you're not on the roster anymore. You're in the portal. So I didn't realize that you could be in the portal, but also be like, yeah, I'm going to play in the postseason.
Yeah. You see it not all the time. But you see it more with Ivy League guys where, they're not allowed to play as grad students. So it is allowed to be in the portal and still play. Those guys will go into the portal, basically saying hey, I can't play in the Ivy League anymore. I'm going to move on next year, but I'm still finishing this season. So it's allowed, but you don't see it at a school like JMU that often.
My bowl game that I have circled, I actually have 2 for those scoring at home and care. How can you not pick the weirdest game of Big Red versus the Big Weird Monarchs? I hope Ricky Ronnie can pull it out, and I hope it's as weird as we all hope it is, and that we're able to get another win over Conference USA. But I think that the other great game it's going to be is that MAC Sunbelt matchup of Miami of Ohio against App State.
Absolutely. That is a good game.
App State showed some life at the end of the year. Was it a fluke, or are they back for real?
All right, now here's the thing about the Mountaineers in the postseason. They have not been good. They've been destroyed by Western Kentucky. I want to say they got destroyed before then or whatever. I get a little worried about the Mountaineers in these bowl games. That being said, on paper, this looks like a great game, Dusty.
Yeah, and I think they've got the momentum. They got, Joey Aguiar says, I'm coming back. I think the vibe around App State, going into this postseason is completely different than the last postseason, where it's kind of like, obviously, I mean, didn't play a bowl game last postseason, but the last couple has kind of been like ending in disappointment. Whereas this time, I think the vibe's just different. My other game I'm looking at though is Troy Duke, where it's the Power 5 opportunity, and I think Troy has a real opportunity to just like pound Duke and make a statement for the Sun Belt in that one.
I believe Troy is a 6-point favorite in that game. So it's
basically a home game.
Yeah, it's a home game, and Duke's not very good. I mean, they're okay. They're 6-6, right? Or isn't Duke 6?
They're 7-5, I think.
They're 7-5. Okay,
yeah,
it's
7-5. But their quarterback, they won't have their star quarterback. Yeah. It's a home game for Troy. Troy is a good team. I kind of expect the Trojans to just make a statement in that one.
Well, so Jeremy's going to the Camellia Bowl. I'm going New Orleans Bowl. Shane, are you traveling to the Armed Forces Bowl?
To be determined.
Shane, you call the Daily News Record and you get them to pony up that petty cash and get you a ticket.
Somebody from the Daily News Record will be going.
Oh, okay. Is it going to be Noah Fleischman? Oh my God, is it going to be Noah Fleischman?
No, sadly. He'll be wherever NC State is.
I don't even know where they're at.
And they're in a bowl game, though.
They won't put you on a Spirit Airlines even to get to Dallas?
I'm working on it.
Spirit Airlines.
Shane, I'll make the trip up to Fort Worth so I can finally meet you.
Okay. Sounds good.
You know what my wife said? Megan's like, wait, you have 3 hosts on that show? I said, yeah, Shane Metlin. She's like, who's Shane Metlin? I know Tibbs. Well, you met Tibbs. Yeah.
I still absolutely love that people are like, so how'd y'all all get together? I was like, I don't know. It all just kind of fell in, and
how's it happen?
Anyway,
do we need to do like a flashback episode where like it explains the origin story?
We need an origin story. Like we need like a movie where we're kids and that's how we meet. And yeah.
We all meet up in Monroe and we all just have a 3 guys on the couch. And on that note,
okay,
Jeremy, give us your plug, promo, or parting shot.
All right, so my parting shot was going to be that diatribe about the NIL situation and Florida State. No, it was going to be about Florida State and the Group of 5 team being selected and how that was done. So I'm not gonna have a parting shot, guys. I'm just gonna have a plug. I've been monitoring all the comings and goings of the transfer portal for the Sun Belt. You can check it out at hellraiser.com. They're all in order. They're all there. Several sources that I cite for it. So check it out. See if your favorite player's there. Let me know if I've missed a player or if a player that I have listed has since withdrawn his name. I'd appreciate it.
Shane, what do you have?
I'll do a promo for Shenandoah Valley Regional Airport. It's fantastic.
Wow.
Free parking, which is amazing for me.
That's good value.
The folks in the general aviation terminal are very friendly. They will take good care of you. So if you're traveling to Virginia, I recommend coming through Shenandoah Valley Regional Airport, SHD, if you're searching it that way.
Okay.
Did you sign an NIL deal without our consent, Shane?
No, but I'm sure I'll be back there this week, and when I am, I might talk to them about some sponsorship opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, we could put their logo right up here.
Yeah,
they could
be like, hey, people travel in for JMU football games. Like, let's get them coming through
the official airport,
the gateway to Shenandoah National Park.
We could
and our one listener in Cyprus will enjoy that.
Yeah, we could talk about like we could have, instead of promos and whatever, it could be direct flights, or just we can list things that make it all airport sounding. We could do that.
Yeah. My parting shot. It makes Jeremy so happy. He's going to giggle like a giddy schoolgirl.
I can't wait.
Travis Kelce's girlfriend has been named Time Person of the Year.
She is so great.
That's all I had for you.
I love her. I think she's great. She is outstanding. She's pretty. She's talented. She can play the guitar. She can sing well. She has this great following. More power to Taylor Swift. She you know what? If she said right now, you gotta vote for B.A. Baracus for president, there would be like 5 million votes for B.A. Baracus for president.
You mean Mr. T?